G'day everybody, I want to jump in today and talk about the Business Boost grant which has become available from the Queensland Government. It's a very exciting opportunity for a lot of small businesses and yeah, today I'm going to cover off some nuts and bolts around are you eligible, what are there's a couple of little hidden features beyond the eligibility criteria that you need to be aware of. What can you spend it on and what are the objectives that you're likely to get out of it and how can you work around something that's really positive there. And then the last piece I'm going to cover off, what do you need to do and how do you get ready. So there's a stack of information online that I've been able to go through. The government, I think, have done a really good job of narrowing the criteria for this to be able to open it up. To be very open and biased about it, I'm really excited about it because there's a lot of alignment around what I do. The three key areas that the grant is aiming at to try and support business is strategic planning, resilience, making sure that there's a clear strategy, direction and opportunities that are available to business are being accessed. Then there is a section around process automation, which is all about refining what you do and how you do the work that you do. And the last piece is around team development and staff training. So I run a program called Performance Edge, which is all about all of those things. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. There's obviously some substantial funding available for it. But there is obviously some hoops to jump through to make it happen. So what I want to cover off in this video, like I said, are you eligible and what are the nuts and bolts, couple of dark areas around that. Secondly, what can you spend it on and how are you going to utilize this? One of the really exciting pieces, it gives you the opportunity if you're in a business and you are the central source of truth for everything, if everybody's coming back to you for everything, this grant gives you the funding that would allow for a program to try and resolve that, and I know that's a major pain point for people in this situation. And the last piece I'm going to cover off is how do you access it? What are the things that you got to do? How do you get ready? Because nothing's more frustrating than thinking that would have been a great opportunity, but I couldn't actually get it because there wasn't a couple of things. We didn't have our I's dotted and our T's crossed. So I'm going to jump into those things. First and foremost, the criteria. What is the eligibility criteria? Are you eligible? Can you use it? So 101 things, you've got to be Queensland based business, registered for GST, fewer than 20 staff, and the big narrower in this field, obviously $300,000 to $600,000 revenue in financial year just closed. So you have to sign a stat deck to say that's where you're at. Yeah, so $300,000 to $600,000 in revenue, turnover, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, 300 to 600 is the marker financially. A couple of things that aren't published in the criteria that you need to be aware of are there is also a 30% contribution from the applicant. So if you're going to apply for this grant, yes, you can get $15,000, but that $15,000 can only represent 70% of the total project cost. So maximum of $15,000. Minimum project spend is, or minimum contribution for the government is $7,500. So your project needs to be at least $11,500. These are all ex-GST figures. So your project needs to be at least $11,500 to be considered. And the other big piece, which is buried in the fine print, is you have to self-fund it. The funding doesn't come until the end of the project. So basically what you do is you get your suppliers, you plan your project, you apply for the grant. If they give you the heads up, yes, you're good to go, you've been approved, you've got a month to start your project. And then once you start your project, you've got 6 to 12 months to finish it. So there's a 6 to 12 month window there. So these are not kind of tin pot projects. These are sizable, decent things that are going to make a big improvement in your business. You've got 6 to 12 months to finish it, and then you have to report back to the government and say, here's proof that we spent the money we said we're going to spend, here's what we did, here's how it worked. They will fund back whatever their agreement was in that position. So yeah, that's basically a couple of the more fine print pieces there that aren't in the criteria that you need to be aware of, is that yeah, you do have to fund it up front. It's a 6 to 12 month project. So if you did say a $22,000 project over 11 months, you've got to be able to cash flow and to be able to fund $2,000 a month. And at the end of it, you get 15 grand back. Well, you get 15 grand on your $22,000 project. So they're the type of things that you need to be aware of, because otherwise there's no point getting excited about it. If you're not in a position to do those things, then unfortunately you're not going to meet the criteria, or it's just not going to be the right move for you at this point in time. Are you right there, mate? This is Alfred. Alfred has come in to say hi because it's morning time and he would like a feed, but it's not quite time yet. So come on, buddy, down. All right, let's jump into what you can do with it. This is the exciting bit. So the grant covers three core areas. One is planning, one is software and automation, the other one is people, training and evolving and upskilling your people there. The reason that these are the criteria is because it's not just the project, it's the outcome that your business is going to get. What the government wants to encourage is obviously employment, so growth in staff numbers. They want to see your business growing in revenue and in profit, and they want to see you training and developing staff and upskilling people. The word that they use in the guidelines and the structure is resilience. They want to be building resilient organizations where people have skills to adapt, evolve and move around. The businesses that are in this position, if you're going to be eligible, you've probably built a bit of a stable base in terms of you've got some cash flow. Maybe things are not going super good, but you've got some cash flow, you've got some clients, you're past that point of like really just trying to establish yourself. And the question for you is, how do you take that next step? Really leverage the success that you've had, scale it up and build it up and step out into the next criteria. I often talk about this as breaking 7, where you're going from a $300,000-$500,000 revenue target to an over $1 million revenue target. So for those business owners, there is a lot of opportunity with this and what you can do, and it's very exciting. It's one thing to build a process. It's another thing to build a process and have embedded in that also training, so that we can actually measure what's happening and is the process being followed, because having the process is only a third of the challenge. You've got to have the clear process, you've got to be able to train the people, and you've got to be able to then use those two things to manage the performance of people and make sure that the work is being executed as it should be. So this grant, from a software structure, training perspective, facilitates all of those things, which is a really exciting and powerful move for a business who wants to make that investment and push for that. When they're talking about software automation, things you can look through are your CRM/marketing. So if you want to move things from an inquiry happens and then they get sent a stream of emails, or they get added to this particular group, all of those things, or a deal can be created and started, those things happen. When they're talking about project management, so how are you capturing costs, evaluating the business performance, there's a whole bunch of things in your project management software that you could do. And obviously, I just refer to it as an intranet, but basically taking away your either hard-based server, moving to a cloud-based solution where people within your organization can get access to all the information that they need at exactly the point when they need it, whether they can get it on their tablets, on their mobiles, and on a PC. If the PC crashes, somebody can log in and run just like they were before. So that's the pieces that I would be really focusing on, and the opportunities that I see within it. And the last piece is, what do you need to do to be ready? This grant is going to open on the 30th of July. Sorry, it's going to open on the 30th of July at 9 a.m. I would expect that it will be closed on the 30th of July at midday. The Business Boost grant, which was a bit wider criteria. So one thing they've done here well is they've narrowed the criteria, which means there'll be less businesses eligible. But if you're eligible, if you have a project that you're on, if you can fund it, you still need to be organized. So there's a couple of things. Run through the criteria, make sure obviously dedicated that you through the criteria. You've got to get your supply invoices ready. There is a application sample that you can go through, which gives you all the questions, and then you can be ready. You've got to sign up for an account. So you want to have all of these things ready. You've also got to have a statutory declaration. So they're the main big things. Get your supplier invoices ready. Make sure that you're Make sure that you've answered your questions so that you can just be copying and pasting them into the platform. Be registered and be ready with the Smart Grants online side of things, and your stat decks are ready as well. So suppliers, questions answered, login ready, and your stat decks signed. If you're ready with all of those things, then you allocate some time to it and get it uploaded. I'm confident you'll get a submission in. Definitely do not think, oh, it opens on the 30th, I'll make it happen. It will be closed before you get an opportunity to access it. So yes, in summary, yes, there are a few hoops to jump through with it. Yes, there is a narrow criteria for it, but if you fit that criteria, look, this is 3 to 5 hours work to get your application ready, have a few conversations with suppliers, make sure that kind of thing works. If it was 5 hours, even if it was, 10 hours, that's still $1,500 an hour that you got paid for those 10 hours of application. So yeah, really good opportunity. If you're interested in it, reach out, shoot me a line. I'll put all the links below to the frequently asked questions, the criteria, the guide, all that kind of stuff. If you're running an application, I wish you luck with your application. I hope it's a great success and a great help to support your business on the move forward, regardless of your application status. If you've made it this far, good luck in your business. I hope things are rolling along well. Congratulations for still being in business after the last 18 months or 24 months that we've had. Keep rolling along, keep strong, and all the best from me here at Orb Services. Thanks, guys.